Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to build a trigger-based campaign using Apify and Clay. And before I dive in, for context, the client that I built this for was or is they sell to HR leaders, and more specifically, we're trying to find companies that are hiring for interns or starting an internship program. And there's a lot of different ways that you can find that data. You can try to use LinkedIn Jobs or Indeed, or there's a ton of different places you can look. But we figured that if we could get access to the client's applicant tracking system directly, it would be the best source of truth and data and information for us to use. So Greenhouse here is an applicant tracking system. There's a bunch of different other ones. The problem, though, is that a lot of the applicant tracking systems, when they just don't give you that access to that information, so you got to kind of be creative about how you try to find that information, and none of them are super open about the URLs that they use to like host job boards for different companies. And so, we were able to figure out for a couple of them what the URL was, and then we were able to leverage that into Google searches to build our account lists. So if you look here, what you can see is that each result returns a different company. There's a little bit of repetition in here that you got to sort out if you want to have like unique. So you only want to have like one result per company. So you can see later on. So we don't enrich for the same contact or the same company multiple times. But we got Qualtrics, Techstars, Figma, SpaceX, Riot Games, Gusto, Figma again. But as you can see, for the most part, each result is a different company. Now, from here, what I was trying to do, because I was like, okay, all we really want is the URL for these job postings, because it's got all the information. We can scrape this and use that to inform the campaigns. But the amount of results here changes like daily. But I tried to scrape all of them, and Google did not like that. It just consistently kept blocking me at a couple hundred results, and I was like, crap, well, I got to slice the data a little bit more. And what made the most sense to me here at this point was to slice it by state. And so we added some keywords on here for the states. So as you can see, we're now down to 917 results from here. Before I go on and I show you, okay, how do we scrape this? For context, for those of you watching who maybe don't know, we're using Google search operators to build the account list, or to like build the search. And so the components here, the first one is the site operator, and this basically just specifies that any results that Google returns, it needs to be in this URL. So all of these are boards.greenhouse.io, boards.greenhouse.io, all of them are the same. From here is the asterisk. The second operator is the asterisk, and this is a wildcard. It's a placeholder that could be any value or character, because we don't know what the URL path was or is going to be. And what I thought was interesting is that this actually is like kind of a redundant operator, because technically the site operator already tells Google, look on all of the subdirectories for boards.greenhouse.io, so it should look at everything. But we're getting very different results when we were using the asterisks versus not the asterisks. And essentially what it was telling me is that using the asterisks was helping Google more effectively search through the subdirectories and just give us more results. If you look here, and I don't know why it's happening, but it just, the numbers are different. So we got 917 results with, 805 without. So we got less, and I was like, well, this seems to be helping it. So let's go ahead. Let's keep it in there. From there, this one says only return pages that have the keywords internship or intern, and then the state, because we're slicing and dicing the data a little bit. So from here, we've got 917 results. So how do we scrape these? We used a tool called Apify. I tried a bunch of different tools to do this. Quite honestly, it was kind of hard to scrape a lot of Google results. Apify seemed to be the easiest way to get the most results, and so that's what we went with. And you can create an account on here. It's totally free. You get $5 of usage every month for free. We didn't even use that to get all 50 states, so it's like extremely cheap to use this tool. I mean, it's basically, it's free to use the tool to a certain extent, and then there's going to be a bunch of different options. So there's multiple Google search results scrapers. The one that I used just had the most users and runs. So I picked the one that seemed to have the most like social proof. Um, and then the way that you use it, it is really easy. You can either just take the actual search terms. So as you can see, this is the exact same search terms here, or you can take the literal URLs. You can copy and you can paste it in here, and it's effectively the same thing. From there, you specify based on the volume that you want. You might not want all of them. So you specify that here. It's got instructions on exactly how to do this. You can specify the location. I mean, there's a bunch of other different settings. The default is the United States, so I didn't change anything. The only other thing I changed is I got rid of the timeout. It gives you a warning that infinite runs can occur, but I mean, I'm just not, it's so, you'll see if you use this, it's so cheap to use. I mean, I could run a state and it wouldn't even cost me a penny. So I just wasn't worried about it. I wanted to run everything. From there, you just save and start, you run it. It'll take a couple of minutes to finish, and then you can just download the results. It'll give you a bunch of data for this specific use case. All that we wanted, like I was saying before, are the URLs, so that we could put them into Clay and then further enrich. And so that leads us here to this table. And obviously we haven't run the whole thing. We only ran a couple. But the first thing that we did, because if you think about it, we don't have contact information. We don't really have anything other than this like greenhouse URL. So we got to figure out how do we go from here to the correct contact, to their validated contact information, to generating personalization for campaigns. I can't show you everything in here because quite honestly, I want to upload this without it needing any editing, and it's got all their emails and stuff in there. That stuff's not super important. Big picture, we just used a waterfall to enrich all of this data. But what's interesting to me is how we conducted the research, because it was completely automated, and we used Clay's new feature, their Claygent, which is an AI web scraping assistant that just automatically does the research for you. I mean, I feel like these tools are going to put me out of business. No, not actually, but they're pretty crazy. Also, please don't abuse me. That's my email. Just be nice. I'm trying to put this information out for you. Here's the prompt that we use. So it's using the job posting that I provide you. Find all of this information. So we wanted to find different criteria so that we could bucket people into different campaigns. So for example, someone who is recruiting for 2 or 6 or 9 locations and interns for this client is a different angle, it's different copy, different campaign, different need than someone who's recruiting for 1. So we wanted to know how many locations are they recruiting for? Where are they recruiting for? What type of interns are they recruiting for? So the title, do they pay them with a stipend? That's going to be different copy, different angle, different campaign. And we also wanted it to pull the company name and the website URL of the company. I didn't want it to just spit back to me the same URL that I just provided it. I wanted it to go find the company URL for the company that's listed here, because we're going to use this information later on down in the workflow to enrich it, to enrich for the right company and the right contact and their contact information. So all of that was just automatically done in one step using this Claygent. It's so cool. So as you can see here, we just listed out, this is all the stuff that I want you to grab. Here's the link. I specified because at first it was just giving me back the career page, and I was like, no, that's not what I want. I want just like the home page of the business. And then I know that there's other ways to do this, but this is how I did it, and it worked for me. But I told it to give me the information back in this exact format. So I used quotation marks to be like, give me this exact format. I explained what each one of these means. So company name, website URL, the year, number of locations, all that stuff. And then you just run it, and it goes through and it does all this research for you. And then it returned the results in this format for me. One result didn't even cost a penny, so it's like super cheap to automate. And then the reason why this format is important is because each one of these, as you can see, they're formulas. And essentially what it says is, like, for example, in the website URL, it says, give me the results between website URL colon and year, which is the URL. So each one of these is like a specific formula that says, hey, just give me these results in between these values. Yeah, and that's basically it. From there, we're able to use Clay enrichments to find contacts at the company. They had an Apollo API key, so we started there, an Apollo and an Everbounce account with their API key, so we started there because it's cheaper to enrich for the contacts. And then for any missing contacts where we weren't able to find valid contact information for, if you saw this from the LinkedIn post, we just used a waterfall enrichment. All that stuff's native in Clay, and it's super easy to use. And then we generated AI personalization for the copy. But that is everything. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you learned something or gave you a campaign idea. Please hit the like and subscribe button below. It helps the channel out a lot. But other than that, I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully I will see you on the next video. Bye.